Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is the latest film in the Mission Impossible franchise starring Tom Cruise. So today, let's rank them all from worst to best. Hey everybody, my name is Justin here. I try to watch everything that hits theaters and on streaming services. If you guys are like me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell notification for more up and coming content. Leave your list down below. How would you rank all of the Mission Impossible films, including the newest one, Dead Reckoning Part 1? Coming in last place is Mission Impossible 2. This was directed by John Woo, and this was just so focused on style rather than having a memorable mission within it. I did like the cast in here with Thandie Newton as well. I thought that she worked alongside Tom Cruise very well in here. Just the mission, it moves very slowly throughout. Ethan Hunt's trying to stop a former IMF agent from unleashing a genetically engineered biological weapon. And while there are some cool action scenes, I do feel like John Woo's direction is a little bit off within this movie, as it is focused on a lot of those slow-mo scenes and a really over-the-top action. Where that first Mission Impossible film felt like a spy movie, this one is just mostly an action film. I'm not invested in the mission or the spy aspect to it. Tom Cruise, once again, is great as Ethan Hunt, but it's easily a forgettable movie. Coming in sixth place is Mission Impossible. It feels so weird to put this movie towards the bottom of the list because it is a great movie. It started off the franchise in a very thrilling way. The iconic scene of Ethan Hunt trying to get the data and not sweat as he's dangling from the ceiling. So many scenes like that are exhilarating and suspenseful. And this is more so of a spy movie, less of an action movie. And they handle all of those moments very well with a lot of intensity throughout. This mission is very personal to Ethan Hunt. You have a sense of urgency throughout. I like the cast in here, how Ethan Hunt was integrated into the movie. Really solid way to start off this franchise. A lot of thrilling action scenes and one of the best movies of the 90s. Coming in fifth place is Mission Impossible 3. Like I said, the first Mission Impossible movie was more of a spy movie. The second one was an action film. The third film, and from there on, it blended action and spy so well. J.J. Abrams' style of direction really works in this movie. You got your typical lens flares and everything from him, but he's able to give you really intense action and then also thrilling spy moments as well, to where you're really invested in the mission throughout the film. And Philip Seymour Hoffman easily is the best villain in the Mission Impossible franchise. You really feel like he goes toe-to-toe with Tom Cruise within this movie. So the story, the mission itself works really well in here. I feel like it's got a nice pace to it. On top of that, with J.J. Abrams' nice direction for the action scenes, and Tom Cruise once again just going all in with this role, making things look very grand. This is a really fun film. I didn't see this movie when it was first released. I actually think the first Mission Impossible movie I did see was Ghost Protocol, but I really enjoyed this movie. It's got a nice blend of action and spy sequences as well, and it easily raises the stakes from Mission Impossible 1 and 2 while bringing in some new cast members as well. Coming in fourth place is Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I love the introduction of Rebecca Ferguson within this movie. Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, they really bring the comedy to the movie, so make certain scenes feel a little more lighthearted, but the action, I feel like from starting with the third movie, the fourth movie raised the stakes with the action. The fifth movie even got bigger. Fallout was bigger than Rogue Nation, and Dead Reckoning was bigger than Fallout. So it's just like every single movie, they have to do something bigger. And Rogue Nation started off very thrilling with the plane sequence, and him hanging by the side of the plane, I thought was really thrilling. Just so cool to watch what Tom Cruise does within these movies. And the new cast as well adds a lot of depth to this mission and how important it is to Ethan Hunt. You have the Syndicate in here. While I think the presence of the Syndicate works really well, it's very intimidating. The mission itself is not that memorable. So the presence of our villains, the people that Tom Cruise is trying to find and eradicate, the Syndicate, I don't think their agenda is as well written as, I guess, the presence of them. At times I'm finding the Syndicate, the chatter about the group, and Ethan Hunt trying to find them to work, and adds some intimidating moments to the film. But then you look at what their mission is, that is where it kind of just falls apart. But I do think Rogue Nation is a really entertaining movie with a lot of big action scenes, nice spy sequences as well. Rebecca Ferguson is a character that you're not quite sure what her own agenda is, so it's really keeping you interested throughout watching this character and having her fleshed out throughout the movie, and seeing her work with Ethan Hunt but then also betray him as well. Going back and forth with this character makes you really question who she is and what her own agenda is, and that's a nice part of the movie. But Rogue Nation, I really do like it. It's a blast. Coming in third place is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. There are some really good scenes in here using technology, and Jeremy Renner in here is awesome as well. This is where you kind of dive deeper into the spy genre, utilizing technology in here. There's so many cool scenes of, especially with Jeremy Renner, as he's blinking and it's printing off the codes into the briefcase as they're dealing with the diamonds. I thought that was a really suspenseful scene. And then the moment with Tom Cruise outside of the hotel in Dubai, that is exhilarating. It's intense. Many moments like that throughout Ghost Protocol really add to the action in here. But then also looking at the mission itself too, does work. It doesn't have the most memorable villain in here. At times I forget the overall agenda within this movie and the villain, where you have like Philip Seymour Hoffman from Mission Impossible 3 and the Syndicate, things that people that you have, their presence is felt. I didn't really feel that with Ghost Protocol, but everything else really does work. This was the first Mission Impossible film I saw. I remember seeing it in theaters. I thought this was really cool. I wanted to go back and watch the first 3. And now this franchise is just popping off with really good movies. But Brad Bird's direction for Ghost Protocol is very clean. The pacing is really good. Handling the action scenes, feel like you're really just in there getting everything with limited edits as well. It looks truly amazing, and I think that Ghost Protocol is really where it's kind of found its footing. Like I said, Mission Impossible 3 is where it's got that nice blend. I think with Ghost Protocol to Dead Reckoning, we have a similar style and tone and direction. They all feel the same at times, and that's good because you got a similar tone to all of the movies. But Ghost Protocol is amazing. One of my favorite Mission Impossible films. Coming in second place is Mission Impossible Fallout. This was a hard choice between Dead Reckoning and Fallout. Fallout had some really epic scenes, and I really like Henry Cavill in here. Really intimidating presence within this movie, and there are some really surprising scenes as well. One of the best action films of the last decade, and the mission itself is really suspenseful. There's a lot of things that are going on with Ethan Hunt being targeted by assassins while also trying to prevent a global catastrophe. There's a lot going on, and that's where the pacing really works for Fallout. A lot of the big action scenes, you feel the urgency throughout this movie. And the CIA is starting to question Ethan Hunt's loyalty as well. And that's where we add a lot of depth to this character, what he stands for. He fights for the good, and he will go to the extreme to stop these big events from happening. And we really see that with Fallout. It's a great continuation from Rogue Nation, bringing back some of the characters and leading into the story from Rogue Nation to Fallout. It's got a great continuation, so it's easy to watch both of these films back to back and get a really nice long story. And that also leads nicely into Dead Reckoning as well. But Fallout, great action scenes, a lot of new cast members that really add to the story, but then also just taking on a lot with the assassins and global catastrophe as well. Really feels that urgency and intensity throughout, and it's so good. But coming in first place is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. The threat is bigger than ever with Dead Reckoning. Looking at this AI that can take over the world, stakes are higher than any other movie, and there are some really exhilarating action scenes. Many times in the theater, I was leaning forward and just in awe of what I was watching. If it's the train sequence at the end, or driving through the streets of Rome, which I noticed, same kind of scene as Fast X, with Dom driving down the stairs backwards. Same thing in Mission Impossible, but Mission Impossible did it better. But there are so many cool scenes, and it starts off right away. You really feel that urgency in the beginning with the mission and how important it is. And many times, even the performances from Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames and Tom Cruise and Rebecca Ferguson, everybody's feeling the pressure from this mission to get these keys so they can stop this AI from taking over the world. But one great cast member that felt like they had the biggest story was Hayley Atwell. And her character, I'm surprised with the amount of screen time she got, but I loved it. She felt like she took on a little too much as a character and didn't know how to handle it all. She got thrown into this really big plot that she's not sure how to handle it. It makes it a really realistic performance where you have everybody, Simon Pegg and Tom Cruise and Rebecca Ferguson, that are very calm and they know how to get out of these situations. And then you have Hayley Atwell in here that's great at stealing things and surprising people along the way. But then you get to know this character a little more and spend more time with her, and then watching that maybe she took on a little too much and she doesn't know how to handle it, and she's relying on help as well. I really like that realistic portrayal of this character when she's thrown into this big plot of taking over the world and how she reacts to it all. And I really like Hayley Atwell's performance in here, and I thought she worked nicely alongside Tom Cruise in the cast. I can't wait to see more of this character in Dead Reckoning Part 2, because she became a very likable character, someone that you can easily relate to and understand her own agenda as well. So Dead Reckoning Part 1, I feel like, has the best overall cast to it. We have Rebecca Ferguson and Hayley Atwell, but also the villains in here are really intimidating. Continuing nicely off of Fallout, this is a really good story with a lot of big action scenes and leading nicely to Part 2. The urgency, the stakes is there. It's a bigger threat than anything I've seen in Mission Impossible, and they played that so nicely throughout the film. The pacing is really good, and then ends so well leading into Part 2, and I can't wait to see that film. So there you guys have it, all Mission Impossible movies ranked worst to best. Have you guys seen them all? What do you think about them? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Just Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.